Now I would like to invite Mr. Kashif to recite few verses from the Holy Quran. Mr. Kashif.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. First, a brief outline of the program. The presentation by Captain Jamil will be started very soon after the introduction. Then we'll have a break for the Asr prayer at 4:45, and it will be for 20 minutes. Then we'll continue the program, and if the presentation, Mr. Captain Jamil would like to continue the presentation, it will be continued after the break as well. And if we'll finish it before that, then we'll have the question answer session, and of course the summing up and the concluding remarks by the session chairman. So it's a pleasure for me, first of all, to invite Captain Jamil for the presentation, but before that I would like to introduce him briefly. Captain Jamil is presently working as Chief Executive for Takaful Pakistan Limited. Previously, he has been involved with the Takaful operations in Pakistan from last 2 years and contributed positively in finalization of the legal framework in the form of the Takaful Rules 2005. He has a distinguished academic career and has served in merchant navy as well as in Pakistan general insurance market in various companies. Captain Jamil qualified in associateship exam of Chartered Insurance Institute UK, and he obtained distinction. He has attended many courses in general management and also the courses related to insurance. Presently, he is also associated with the University of Karachi in the evening program, and he has also participated in TV talk shows on the program Takaful. With these few words, I would like to invite Captain Jamil for his presentation on Takaful. And let me remind you that in the last Ramzan also we invited Captain Jamil for the presentation on the same topic, and session chairman Mr. Abdul Rahim was also present over here. So we have the same partnership this time as well, and hope to have new partnership in the future as well. So please welcome Captain Jamil for his presentation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Dr. Shaida, for the introduction. Respectable Chairman, Mr. Abdul Rahim, in audience, Assalamu alaikum. My today's presentation is on Takaful. Last year it was on Takaful as an Islamic alternative to insurance. That was just the beginning, and as such it was an introduction. This time, obviously, going further from then on, we'll be talking of Takaful as an emerging niche market. I'll start off with a brief introduction of Takaful itself, and then we'll have a cursory view of Takaful through time. Thereafter, I'll dwell on Takaful concept and misconceptions in the form of certain questions and their answers, so as to clarify a few aspects of this relatively new word for certain people. The target markets that are there, not just for my company but for Takaful as a whole, particularly in Pakistan, we look at those, and we look at the marketing of those target markets, how we are going to approach, what are the various avenues open to us. Then we will talk about a specific niche market which has been developed with Takaful along with Islamic banks, that is called Banka Takaful. We will also talk about Takaful, re-Takaful, which in fact is an issue also. And I'll just briefly take you along to the legal framework, how it was developed in Pakistan, which culminated in the form of enforcement of Takaful rules 2005. Takaful windows, of course, is an aspect that has been cropping up every now and then. I'll talk just briefly on the aspects why windows should or should not be allowed within conventional insurance. The current challenges to Takaful as are expected to be faced not just in Pakistan but also elsewhere in the world. We look at those. And last but not the least, I just give you a brief overview of my own company, Takaful Pakistan Limited. Takaful basically has been derived from the Arabic root word kifala, which means to guarantee. And as such, Takaful, it is a practical manifestation of Quranic injunction for mutual cooperation in the form of Quranic verse, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, and help each other in piety and in brotherhood. This is a form of mutual cooperation which ultimately benefits the society at large as well. It has the predominant elements of social good, brotherhood, solidarity, and of course the core Sharia principles also are there. And by doing so, on the one hand, one stands benefited in this world by way of getting protection for one's assets in exactly the same way as through any other conventional insurance company. But the added element is there that also it is not just from cradle to grave, it is also in the hereafter, because it is for a good cause and in a good manner. Otherwise, as far as conventional insurance is concerned, it is not forbidden or not haram in Islam per se. Insurance is very much there. It is very much permitted in Islam to safeguard your interests, but the mechanism, as we'll look at that later, that is where difference is made, because the mechanism in case of conventional insurance is not as per Sharia. And as regards insurance or as regards the Takaful, when we talk of safeguarding one's interests, one gets to mind one's a very commonly quoted hadith. Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, at one time he just watched a Bedu going into a tent, leaving his camel outside. So Prophet, peace be upon him, he asked that companion, why are you leaving that camel outside? So his companion said, I place my trust in Allah. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, tie the camel first and then place your trust in Allah. So this very clearly admonishes that you must take all worldly precautions for your properties, for your interests. The only difference is, of course, when you are taking worldly precautions, you must make sure that those precautions are in accordance with Sharia. Takaful, it may be a relatively new word here in Pakistan, but of course not elsewhere, even in the Islamic world, because we have been hearing about Takaful right from the 80s. But even before that, the origins of Takaful took place in the roots of the first constitution of Medina, Misak-e-Medina as we call it, because that was the time when the first truly Islamic state was formed. And the word Takaful in that Misak has been taken 4 times. In fact, that was a time when Arab caravans, they used to travel far and wide. And of course, the people of those caravans, the merchants, they were exposed to all natural as well as man-made hazards. And that is where in some very precursory form Takaful evolved, and it took place because they started forming a common pool to safeguard their mutual interests. That was further codified in the time of Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, the second caliph. And in fact, certain other forms of Takaful products were also developed in his time, because he took certain cues from the other developed areas like the Roman Empire, and he converted them into Sharia compliant, in a Sharia compliant manners. And many Takaful products at that time also were developed, which were later taken on along throughout the Abbasi period and even into the Ottoman Empire. Thereafter, of course, there seems to be a big lull, because that was a time when insurance, as we know nowadays, it started its evolution in the Western era about 3 centuries ago. But even the West, they emulated the East in the sense that they started off their insurance in the same mutual clubs and mutual societies. So it was the same cooperative mutual principle that was already there in Takaful that they started off. Of course, ultimately they grew into a risk transfer mechanism when separate companies were formed, and they started off assuming risks on behalf of the policyholders, and that is where the similarity ended. And of course, it was primarily that very reason that Muslim scholars generally they tended to shy away from the conventional insurance, and they did not declare conventional insurance as haram. On the other hand, there were rapid developments taking place in the world as a whole, where commerce obviously required banking, and that also required insurance. So question did come to mind that how come when we believe, and it is our faith, that Islam is a practical religion, it has a practical solution to every modern day thing, how come we do not have a solution for banking, which is purely based on riba as far as conventional banking is concerned, and for insurance, for which there were reservations for Islamic scholars. About banking, we have already seen it has already taken its firm roots in the form of Islamic banks, which are already Sharia compliant. And similarly, it was in the 1970s that Muslim scholars, both in Jamia al-Azhar as well as in the Far East and certain other areas of the Middle East, they started seriously looking at an alternative to conventional insurance, because that was very much required, and that need had to be met in a Sharia compliant Islamic manner. And it was by virtue of those, their own internal deliberations and different models, ultimately the first Takaful company was established in Sudan in 1979. That was very almost simultaneously followed by another one in Bahrain the same year. And then thereafter, of course, there has been a mushroom growth of Takaful companies all over the world. As of today, there are about 84, more than 84 Takaful companies now in more than 25 countries. And those countries include countries like Luxembourg, countries like Russia. There is one already formed even in South Africa. Another Takaful company is being formed even in New York. So there is a viability, there is a practicability in the system. That is why it is now taking its firm roots. The total premium of OIC countries, I have got 2004 figures. That was about $5 billion. And of this, Takaful constituted only 5%, that is 2.5 billion. And at that pace, of course, it is estimated that just an estimate, that this Takaful premium or Takaful contribution as we call it, it will rise to 15 billion by the year 2015. Even 15 billion US dollars, I think, is a relatively small figure compared to the mushroom growth that we are witnessing, not just in elsewhere in the world, but even it is going on in Pakistan now, because several interested groups, they are at some stage or the other of forming Takaful company. And over the next 2 years, inshallah, we will witness, I think, something around 8 or 10 Takaful companies within Pakistan. And maybe the figures will grow up further, inshallah. One aspect of low penetration of Takaful, or for that matter even in insurance, is that we being third world countries generally, there is even otherwise a poor penetration in the Muslim world of insurance. It is less than 1%. In Pakistan, in fact, is one of the poorest, because in Pakistan we have less than 0.3% of our GDP, the insurance penetration. Compared to that, our market leader, Malaysia, they have an insurance or a Takaful penetration of around 8%. And of course, the developed Western world, America and others, they have a far higher rate than this. Japan, for example, they have an insurance penetration almost of 20%. That also shows that there is a lot of room for improvement, lot of room and lot of potential as well exists once a proper niche is created, once a proper awareness is created, not just for Takaful, but even for the need to insure and to ensure the Islamic way once it is there. One good aspect from which one can draw encouragement is that Takaful's average growth has been much higher than conventional insurance elsewhere in the world, particularly in Malaysia. Overall, it is 25% in Malaysia for for general Takaful. It is almost 36%. I've got just last 10 years statistics. And life Takaful has grown almost on the average around 92%. which is quite phenomenal. And coming to that, of course, I should also not forget a small company, Amana Takaful of Sri Lanka, which is a Muslim minority country having hardly 8% Muslims. They were established in 1999, and for each of the last 6 years, they have grown by over 100%. So that shows the phenomenal growth even in a Muslim minority country for Amana Takaful. You can see these red dots, these indicate these Takaful companies. There is a dot in Russia, one also discernible I think in New York, and hopefully in due course we will find more red dots sprinkled all over these countries and all over the globe as well. In South Africa already a Takaful company has been formed, and in Pakistan there is one, there will be many others also in due course. Now question does arise that has Takaful suddenly come out of the blues in Pakistan, because of course elsewhere it has been established in Sudan since 1979. In fact, Sudan also has the distinction that they allow only the Takaful form of insurance now. After having a decade of success of Takaful in that country, they legally ordained that the only form of insurance allowable in Sudan is Takaful. In Malaysia, of course, since 1980s, they have got four Takaful companies, and they have got 5 more now. And of course, in the Middle East also there are several Islamic insurance or Takaful. The word of course is interchangeable. Some call it Islamic insurance, some name it that way, but they are very much there and they are in existence. In Pakistan, of course, the Takaful companies are coming up now, but the phenomena is not new, because the work began about 23 years ago by the Council of Islamic Ideology, who were specifically entrusted this task to come up with an alternative to conventional insurance. They submitted their findings to the government in 1992, but that was then thereafter there were certain years when the age-old Insurance Act of 1938 that was being repealed, and that was to be replaced by a new piece of law enactment, which ultimately came as Insurance Ordinance 2000. And in the Insurance Ordinance 2000, for the first time, the word Takaful has been defined. But other than that, that definition, there is nothing much to it within the ordinance. However, it was of course a Takaful task force was formed by the ICCP in the year 2004, of which our worthy chairman also was one of the members. That task force came up with a certain set of recommendations, and eventually now we do have the legal framework with us in the form of Takaful Rules 2005. The same phenomena I have also depicted just graphically. Starting off with objectives resolution, that is where we draw our strength and our encouragement, because it is in the objectives resolution that the country will be an Islamic republic and no law repugnant to Sharia will be framed, and the society at large will also be in conformity with Sharia. But thereafter, of course, as I just mentioned, it was only in 1983 that Council of Islamic Ideology started reviewing the insurance aspect, as it was in practice and it is still in practice in Pakistan. They submitted their report, then the insurance ordinance came up, and ultimately we had Takaful rules in 2005. And shortly after Takaful rules, one company did start in a limited way Takaful operations even last year. And now in the year 2006, my own company will start operations inshallah shortly after it, also followed by several other companies within the next 1 or 2 years. There are 2 or rather 3 different models being followed all over the world, as we call them Takaful models. The Takaful model being to be followed in Pakistan, and which is being followed, has already been enshrined in our Takaful rules. That is a Waqf based Wakala model. It is you can say refined form of Wakala, and it does incorporate certain elements even of the Mudaraba model as far as the investment income is concerned. Investment side is taken care of by virtue of a Mudaraba, which is risk sharing model, and the technical aspect is on Wakala, and then there is a refinement by virtue of Waqf based Wakala. So the relationship between the participant and the Takaful operator is through the Waqf, which has its own separate legal entity. I have tried to depict this in the form of a separate flow chart, where you can see the Waqf which is in between the Takaful operator and the participant. Now the participant is whom we call a policy holder in case of conventional insurance company. Whatever amount they give by way of contribution as against premium, that goes into the Waqf fund. and then the Waqf itself is the driving vehicle for the participants' Takaful fund that you can see in blue down below, whereas the other separate fund is that of the shareholders, which I have shown in green above, that is shareholders fund. Now the Waqf fund, of course, it is operated by the Takaful operator on behalf of the participants, and for doing so the Takaful operator is entitled to a wakala fee, which is charged upfront to the Waqf. Out of the participants' Takaful fund, of course, the investment income also goes into it. Then the operational cost, particularly of re-Takaful, is debited to this fund, as well as the claims and reserves that have to be created over time. And thereafter, whatever remains in this participant's Takaful fund belongs to the participant. And this is the fair and equitable way of Takaful, that this fund belongs to the participant. We manage it only as a sacred trust by virtue of a Waqf deed, which already is required to be created first. And as far as the shareholders are concerned, they get their income through 3 income streams. One is the wakala fee, as you can see upstream, then investment income from their own shareholders fund capital, and also investment income from their own wakala fee. And third income stream is their mudarib's share, because they are also investment or fund managers. They act on behalf of the participants' fund, so they are entitled to certain mudarib's share. That is their third income stream. And after defraying all the management expenses of the company, whatever profit occurs, that goes to the shareholders. And this is, you can say, the beauty of Islamic system, the barakah, that despite the fact that compared to conventional insurance where all the balance goes to the shareholders, although here it's only a fraction of that element which goes to the shareholder, that fraction has been proved over a period of time to be far more than in case of conventional insurance companies. Next. A question may arise that which of the Takaful models, I have talked about 3 models: Mudarba model, mostly practiced in the Far East; Wakala model, as practiced in the Middle East; and Wakala with Waqf, which is a refined model and a hybrid of Wakala and Mudarba, which is being practiced in Pakistan. So as far as we are concerned, all models are truly Islamic, because each of those models is backed by their own set of Sharia scholars. And the beauty of Islam lies in its plurality. We need not call any model wrong because it is being practiced not by us but by somebody else. And in that context, I may like to dwell a little further on ibadat versus muamalat. When it comes to ibadat, it is man to God worship. There everything is disallowed, forbidden, except that which is specifically allowed. For example, we all face Qibla when we are offering our prayers. Our prayer, if we deliberately face anywhere other than Qibla, that will be declared fasid. That will, obviously that is not allowed. Similarly, no matter whatever language we speak, we always pray in the Arabic language, because that is what we have been ordained to do. So these are, because when it comes to ibadat, there can be no two opinions about it. But when it comes to muamalat, that is man-to-man relationship and activities, there is flexibility, of course, within certain ambits, parameters, that is allowed in Islam. A simple example would be that cow, it is a sacred animal, but what makes the difference, what makes it halal, is the way it is slaughtered. The same cow, which is a halal animal, if it is slaughtered the Islamic way, we can eat it. If it is not slaughtered the Islamic way, we cannot eat it. But once it is slaughtered the Islamic way, some people may like to make steak out of it, others may make curry, anything, it is all halal. So that flexibility we have to dwell upon, because then that creates synergies, and that allows us to have more interaction and interlink with each other rather than cutting off edges from each other. There are 2 basic sources of Islamic law. One is the primary source, as we know, Quran and Sunnah, and then the secondary source, Ijtihad, Ijma and Qiyas. So together these sources, they form Sharia. This I am explaining because obviously when we talk of Sharia, we talk of Sharia compliance. We have to be very clear in our minds that Sharia is not only Quran and Sunnah, it also contains the secondary source, which is also important, because obviously it is only through the secondary source that Muslim scholars over a period of time have interpreted certain aspects of the modern day world to bring those in conformity with Quran and Sunnah. Takaful, some people may think that it is just, and in fact people have been talking that is it just a change of label where you start naming premium as contribution, a policyholder as a participant, things like that. Well, although the end achieved in both cases it is the same scope of coverage is obtained, the same set of benefits. In case of any loss you get reimbursed the same way. So apparently it may come to mind that it apparently seems that it is only change of label, but it is not, because it is the means, the mechanism which makes all the difference. As I said, that insurance is not haram per se, it is only the mechanism which differentiates insurance with what is Sharia compliant and what is not. And in case of Takaful, of course, the whole mechanism, that is the primary, even we owe our existence to this very basic aspect, that our whole mechanism has to be derived in conformity with the Sharia, and that is why we have to bear in mind what Sharia basically is. Next. Again, is Takaful for Muslims only? Let me narrate to you, when I was in Sri Lanka, I got to know about Amana Takaful, that one company's figures, operating in a Muslim majority area. Last year, 30% of their premium income or contribution income was derived from income generated from non-Muslim participants. And that is a significant amount. In fact, they even introduced me to one of their non-Muslim directors, and who said a very good thing, that he said when we started off we gave them just 5% share, but by virtue of their good services, their promptness, and at the end it came as a pleasant surprise when they also passed on surplus to us, which was never there in case of conventional insurance. Next year we decided, our board decided to pass on 100% business to them, because we were getting the same scope of coverage, the same rates, and there was surplus, which really attracts the non-Muslims very much, even from commercial point of view. And that commercial aspect also is again evident in Malaysia. Malaysia have got only 55% Muslims, they have almost 35 to 40% Chinese. Chinese are very shrewd business community. Nowadays even they are opting for Takaful products increasingly, only because now that they are getting aware of this surplus element which has a great commercial viability for them, so they are opting for this product. And that shows that yes, Islam has a practical solution and a more viable solution for everything. In fact, in America, I may tell you that there are non-Muslim Jews nowadays who are selling Islamic financial products to the people. For one, they consider it as a niche market. Secondly, of course, for themselves, it creates revenues, and they feel it is really viable. No matter they are non-Muslims, but even they are being compelled by virtue of their own financials, their own statistics, that they feel like selling. In fact, England also, I think UK, they have already declared that they want to be the financial hub of the Islamic finance and banking. So the reason being that obviously people look towards UK for their very fine legislation, for their very fine financial standards, and they would not like to let go of this opportunity. And I will come to this very aspect even in case of when I talk about Takaful later on, how even non-Muslim companies that have grown over centuries and they are AAA rated companies, even they are setting up Takaful and Takaful pools because they feel there is a potential and there is a viability in this market. Advantages that Takaful does offer is a wide range of product similar to any conventional general and or life insurance company. Our rates, obviously they have to be competitive. Our excellent client servicing, these two aspects, comparative rating and excellent client servicing, they are very much important for us, for all new Takaful companies, because on the one hand we are a new company, we yet have to establish our credibility, and secondly it's not just a new company, it is about a new concept. Obviously there will be a lot of skepticism in the beginning. Unless we take care of these two elements, there is no way we can definitely and surely make inroads. And this is the biggest challenge for us or for any Takaful company for that matter. Then of course, as I have just mentioned, the unique option of surplus sharing is there, which we need to adequately project to make people aware of. Of course, this is what they will get at the end of their policy period. Normally for general Takaful it will be at the end of the year. But this aspect obviously is what has made the difference elsewhere in the world, and definitely it will make a difference here also in your decision to go for insurance or to go for Takaful. Above all, it is a way to help the other community members. It is for an overall good social cause, because any loss of any person's individual factory or any individual being is a national loss, because it is also a social loss. Some people's jobs obviously are gone when that business is not there. There are so many other aspects to it. So when you are doing it in an Islamic way, it is not just from cradle to grave, it is also for the hereafter. You bear in mind, and in fact again this is one of the prime aspects of takaful, that it has to be niya. When we say innamal amalu binniyat, and we have tried to incorporate this very intention that you are deliberately going for takaful and not for insurance. When we look at preamble of any takaful policy that are being practiced in Pakistan, the very preamble spells out that you are a participant, you are paying contribution by way of tabarru. Tabarru is a sort of a conditional donation, and by virtue of that tabarru, it is for a good cause. And whatever claims in our system, when you are getting, of course it is from the Waqf fund. Once you have paid donation to a fund, and particularly to a Waqf, one may question, then one is not entitled to get back out of that. But there can be waqfs can be created, even waqf fil aulad and many others. So this is one form of waqf where the people who are participating in that waqf, they stand to benefit. The word used is not claim, it is benefit, which is given not as a right but at the discretion of the fund. But to make it viable, as far as a common man is concerned, obviously he would stand at ease, he will be satisfied that all his genuine claims will be met the same way as any other conventional insurance company does meet. The takaful contributions, as I just said, cannot be higher than what other insurance companies are offering. People do question us, is there any COBM levy, as they call it in a slang, of course, even in context with conventional Islamic banks, that cost of being Muslims, will we have to pay for the cost of being Muslims? That is not the case. If we do that, then obviously we will be out of business very soon. We can't even afford to do that. Of course, every company has its own internal costing, its own comparative rating. Those elements obviously will be taken care of, but for any company to survive, to thrive as a commercial venture, the first and the foremost thing is that prices have to be, because people are price sensitive. So our costs, and not only that, they have to be competitive, because we will be competing with the conventional insurance companies in this market. And as we do know that conventional insurance companies already are on neck to neck competition. So we have to compete with them, we have to give them, give the people even better rates. And where we cannot match rates, maybe we can match by virtue of our good client servicing. And that is how we intend to compete. Next. Comprehensive coverage, I have just deliberately used the word car, because car insurance or comprehensive car insurance is what we all are familiar with mostly. And of course, all aspects of car comprehensive insurance, as they are taken care of in case of conventional insurance, they are equally, or maybe in a better manner, they are taken care of in takaful. In conventional insurance, there is one element that is called no claim discount or no claim bonus, which one is entitled, and that incidentally is only in case of motor insurance. One is entitled to certain bonus or certain discount if he next year also he gets renewal from the same company, provided he has not made any claim. One may think that since we would be paying surplus, why would we be giving this additional benefit as well? But in fact, this benefit stands on its own, and this we also would be giving in a similar way as any other conventional company, and surplus will be over and above this benefit. So we can and we do offer all classes and all types of general insurance or life assurance business as any other conventional insurer. The only exception being any business which is not in conformity with Sharia, like business of conventional banks themselves, business of breweries, casinos, etc. Of course, that is something we will not even insure by our very principles, by the very faith and foundation that we are on. Other than that, of course, we are free to give all same types of coverage, same type of packages, and same type of tailors. And one good example of that is Bank Takaful. This is a new product, especially a niche for the Islamic banks, the emerging Islamic banks, not just in Pakistan but also elsewhere. And this is where we package a range of our products, and these are then sold by the banks themselves as either value additions for their clients, their depositors, or even in conjunction with their own banking products. A little bit more on the surplus sharing. when I said that we as Takaful operator, we act as wakil for the fund. As far as we are concerned, once we have taken our wakala fee, we are not entitled to any profit, any balance that remains in the fund. Whatever surplus remains, that is computed at the end of the year, and that goes back to the participant, and that is what makes us different. However, if any participant, if he has also lodged any claim and he has received any claim from the fund in that particular year, then the surplus that is due to that particular participant will be offset from that amount of claim. Meaning, if his claim amount is less than the surplus, then he will still get the balance of that surplus. However, if his claim amount has been more than the surplus, we wouldn't ask him to pay more out of his own pocket. Next. Surplus share, although it is computed on a monthly basis, it falls due the moment your policy expires, maybe within 30 days thereafter. And working for that surplus will be because after the first complete 1 year cycle, surplus will be computed on a monthly basis. This is what it is done elsewhere also in wakala based systems. And surplus which has been declared and computed for the preceding month shall automatically apply for policies which are expiring during the current month. This is how the mechanism of surplus will operate. There is one more element which also the Takaful rules have provided for. In case of any participant who doesn't want to get back his surplus and he wants it to be donated for a good cause, for charity, he can give such instructions to the Takaful operator, and the Takaful operator is bound to comply with those instructions and inform that participant where his surplus amount has been spent. This is an added service that we have to provide to that participant. And incidentally, for that matter, of course, there is also a requirement, our Sharia board's requirement, that at the end of the policy period, whenever there is a surplus in the participant's fund, some part, it could be even a nominal amount of that surplus each year also has to go to charity, to make sure that everything, that the whole fund is purified and the element of barakah is there. Next one. Question may come to mind that what if there is a deficit in the surplus? Because when I talked about mutual insurances as they evolved in the 1700s and 1800s, those were mutual clubs. They still are in existence, P&I clubs for example, where they make a cash call on their existing members in case there is a deficit during the year due to maybe heavy claims experience. In case of Takaful, however, there will be no cash call on the participants. In case there is any deficit in the fund, that will be made good by the shareholders, and this is what has been also very clearly enunciated in the Takaful rules. The shareholders will offset that deficit amount by way of qarz-e hasna, and as such the shareholders will be entitled to get back whatever they have paid as qarz-e hasna from the future surpluses in the fund. So in future, if there is any surplus in that fund again, first of all the shareholders qarz-e hasna will be offset, and thereafter whatever remains will go back to the participants. This is what the mechanism of the Takaful is. We have to of course ensure, and we have to live up to the people's trust and confidence that all our activities shall be Sharia compliant. Obviously we are not Sharia scholars, but the Takaful rules, they ordain that we must have a Sharia board. In fact, each Takaful company operating in Pakistan will have a Sharia board comprising of at least 3 eminent scholars, Sharia scholars, well versed in Islamic jurisprudence as well as in the Islamic commerce, and those Sharia scholars are also duly vetted by the regulators, the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. And in fact, that Sharia board is not just a Sharia advisory board. Their role is even more ominous in the sense that they are a Sharia supervisory board. They have to supervise each and every function of the Takaful company to ensure, because it is a big responsibility on them to ensure. Not only that, then they do issue a Sharia compliance certificate to that company, and not just even content with that one certificate. Also there is a requirement to have Sharia audit, not only on a regular basis I have mentioned here, also periodically or even at random at the discretion of the Sharia audit committee which is formed. And this Sharia audit committee again is in addition to the other internal audit and external audit committees or external auditors that are required under the law. So, by virtue of all this, there is an added transparency provided within Takaful, plus the very fact that this is the participants Takaful fund that we are operating as a trustee. Obviously, then all the participants, that is all the policy holders, also have a right to hold us accountable for their fund, because ultimately it is their fund. Compared to that, when you go to a conventional insurance company, you are not entitled to ask what they do with your money as long as you are getting the claim. Whatever balance remains, it goes to the shareholders account, and the policy holders are not entitled to question the shareholders on what they have done with that money. But here, this added transparency is provided, and that is where we owe our existence as a Takaful company to. There are, of course, challenges. Whenever there are opportunities, there are challenges also, but none of the challenges is insurmountable if there is will and if there is determination. First and foremost, yes, there is a general skepticism in the general public. People may tend to be pessimistic that maybe it is just a change of label, maybe they would not be able to come up to expectations. Part of that skepticism, thanks to the Islamic banking that has already come on sound footing now, has been already alleviated. Still, we need to do a lot of work to ensure that that skepticism is removed. We need to create awareness. We need to reach out to the people. We need to tell them that Takaful is there, and this Takaful is really, it's not just for a selling point, it is really a Sharia compliant Islamic insurance backed by eminent and authoritative Sharia scholars on whom they can trust that they would be, in fact, those Sharia scholars, they are safeguarding their interest of all the participants. There may be certain challenges, I would not say disputes, but there could be lack of uniformity in Sharia decisions, because when each company has got to have its own Sharia advisory board or Sharia supervisory board, and each board comprising of heavyweights Sharia scholars, they may feel quite competent to give their different verdicts. However, partly that would be eventually taken care of, because there is a provision in the Takaful rules that ultimately there will be a centralized Sharia board. In fact, I personally feel the sooner that is formed, the better it is, because once there is a centralized Sharia supervisory board, in fact, banking have come up one step ahead of us in that, because in banks there is already a centralized Sharia board at state bank level, and then each of the Islamic banks, they have to have a Sharia advisor. In case of Takaful, that has yet to come up, but once we have a centralized Sharia supervisory board, then there will not be any lack of uniformity at all. Regulatory issues, at least as far as Pakistan are concerned, currently they are conducive to the formation of new Takaful companies, and hence the justification for the emergence of several Takaful companies, as you will see very soon, inshallah. Capacity constraints, yes, definitely they are there, because there is still inadequate re-Takaful worldwide. The number of re-Takaful companies, they can be counted on fingertips. And for any individual large risks like energy risks, dams, projects, we definitely need to go for reinsurance. And if re-Takaful is unable to meet that capacity, then we have to go to our Sharia advisory board, we have to take their rukhsa to go to conventional insurance. But obviously, that is not something very desirable for us, and that we would resort to only as a last resort. But meantime, we have already been, there have been thinking processes we have been set, and we have come up with certain viable solutions whereby we would be able to achieve a very good diversified geographical spread of risk within Takaful and re-Takaful companies all over the globe. There were certain limited investment avenues. I am saying were because now, of course, there are a large number of investment opportunities, and the list is increasing day by day, those that have been vetted and which have been approved by the respective Sharia boards. Even government has recently come up with Wagda Sukuk bonds, and there may be other certain investment instruments also available in due course. So I would not consider limited investment avenues. Challenge is there, but it is not an impediment as such. HR issues have been there, they may still be around, because we do not have dearth of insurance professionals or financial professionals, but we still need to groom them and to inculcate Takaful and Islamic values in them. Already the work is in hand by all Takaful companies, new as well as those that are aspiring to come up very shortly. We are going to have our in-house sessions, training sessions, and I think in due course there will be institutes. In fact, there is one already, an institute in Karachi, Center for Islamic Economics, where they do teach the subject of Takaful along with Islamic banking and finance. There will be other such institutes also that will be coming up. In fact, other day somebody did contact me. They want to start a PGD program for Takaful in the University of Karachi, and one or more institutions also are thinking of introducing Takaful as one of the majors, one of the subjects in their MBA programs. So these are all good positive developments, and ultimately, yes, we will be able to tackle of this HR issue. But for the time being, the current and the aspiring Takaful companies have to ensure that their own workforce, they are also committed to Takaful. Our target market comprises primarily of people who do not insure due to religious reasons. There have been people, we do know of certain even large groups, they have put in a separate fund for their own contingencies, but they have not gone to insurance because they are very clear in their mind that conventional insurance is haram. So obviously, not only that they are our target market, in fact, we are there to meet their need, and we are supposed to be their target as well, because they have a need and we are here and we have to make sure it is our duty to meet their need. But other than that target market, we also have certain secondary markets, people who insure and are insensitive to religious reasons, maybe with sort of you can say, as they call very open-minded thinking. I wouldn't like to use the word, but as they call enlightened moderation. People may think that there is nothing wrong because when we have to go along with the world, then we have to go with conventional insurance as well. But once they have the option, once they are made aware that yes, you have a conventional insurance and there is also a Takaful company, you go only on merit. Those people we will tackle on merit, on our rating, on our client servicing, and then the added commercial advantage by virtue of which even the non-Muslims, they have been opting for Takaful. So they also are going to be our market, and because in this particular market we are competing with conventional insurers who are very aggressive in their marketing. And of course, thirdly, there are people who currently do not insure at all. Since they have not been insuring over a period of time, they might feel that there is no need to insure because nothing will happen. That syndrome, being risk averse, is obviously all the time there. We have to reach out to them. We have to first create awareness and the need to safeguard their interest, the interests of their dependents. Once they do realize the need, the potential, and then of course once we place a viable form of Takaful before them, definitely they will come over to us. Incidentally, Takaful also is a very viable form of an investment instrument, particularly when it comes to life, compared to other investment instruments. And then we also, being fund managers, we can also manage fund. For example, somebody doesn't want to take his share of surplus at the end of the year, he can also instruct us to invest his surplus amount as and we can do that as fund managers for them. Next. For our marketing activities, obviously when we have to come up in a very short period of time to compete with companies that are well entrenched over the last 60 or 70 years, we shall be using all possible avenues above the line, as they are called ATL, activities, TVs, radio and press. TVs, of course, there are mushroom growth of TV channels, and amongst those there are also specific channels like QTV and many others of the like. And particularly in Ramzan, we have been watching Islamic finance, Islamic banking programs on certain TV channels on certain specific times. So obviously those are the TV channels which we can take advantage of, make use of, in order to project Takaful and to make people aware that yes, Takaful aspects and Takaful products also are available to you to choose from. Similarly, FM radios, they are very much common. People while going to offices, coming back, they do invariably switch on those who are the decision makers and those who can definitely be motivated. So that is another channel that is for any good marketing exercise, we have to make use of this. And of course, the importance of press can never be overemphasized. Besides these above the line activities, we also need to go for below the line activities, seminars, this being one of them. But we need to go proactively, and we do intend to have talk shows, seminars throughout the country in big and small companies. In fact, this is where even we Takaful companies, once there are other Takaful companies, we can synergize. I do not perceive emergence of other Takaful companies as a competitor. I perceive them as a good opportunity, because then together we can reach out to the masses, because individually we cannot. and there can be good synergy where we can take advantage of each other's capacities, each other's expertise, and that is how we would like to work positively together rather than considering each other and as our competitors and going on loggerheads as is being done by certain conventional insurers. Below the line, of course, other than seminars, talk shows, we will also be making use of hoardings and leaflets. Bank ka Takaful, I think it needs a little bit more elaboration. This again is a logical, you can say, aftermath of bank assurance, which was evolved in the 80s somewhere in France as well as simultaneously in Philippines. That was where banks and conventional insurance companies, they came together, and under one roof they tried to cross-sell each other's products, and ultimately they also offered bouquets where banks could sell insurance products and vice versa. Very soon the same concept, once Takaful developed, the same concept also was taken up by the Islamic banks, and I think Bank Al Jazeera is one of the pioneers in that. They have come up with very ideal Bank Takaful products, particularly in life, but also in general Takaful. Even HSBC Amana, they have their Takaful arm worldwide, and they also have certain products which they have offered as a bouquet and also as a value addition to their depositors, and that is what we in Pakistan also will be synergizing, because we also, as I'll show you later, we are also going to have certain, we have already in fact dedicated Islamic banks, plus there are Islamic windows of conventional banks, because there is an emerging need for Islamic products, so we have to fulfill that need. And e-commerce again is an activity which brings the banks and the Takaful companies close together, the Islamic banks I'm talking of, where we can synergize and we can in fact have a practical manifestation where everything can be done under one roof, and very quickly the trader, the importer as well as the exporter, they all can get their insurances, their finances, letters of credit, everything taken care of just in one roof. The advantages of Bank ka Takaful, some of them of course, there can be a facilitation desk or equipment installed within an Islamic bank that will ensure fast turnaround period, that will be one-stop shop, and in fact this will be one step towards achieving the concept of an Islamic financial supermarket. The value added services, the banks that they will provide would be extras at no extra cost to their depositors. Because of large numbers, because of the volumes, we would be able to give those terms and rates to those